So we are sitting here with Vincent Pocsik, and we're going to talk a little about his art and sculpting today. So, Vincent, what was one of the first creative outlets you ever found as an artist?
Oh, probably blocks as a small child. I remember specifically like having all these wood blocks and my grandfather coming in and be like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, made him sit down in a chair and walked him through all of these things I was building with the blocks. I don't know what, but I don't know. I've always been into creating, so.
Now, you do work in several different mediums. Now, if you had to choose one of the ones you work in, if you had to pick a favorite, I know that might be a hard question, but is there something you prefer to
No,
work
it's actually, it's not hard. I like, I like a lot of natural mediums. My medium of choice is wood. I'm really invested in exploring every aspect of what it has to offer. I'm really invested in the actual feel and the energy that comes from it. I think trees as a starting point are just beautiful, and also retain so much energy, even before you turn them into lumber. And I think a lot of that, carries along with it as you bring it into the studio and work with it, and then you apply your own energy to it. So I'm really interested in that aspect of it, and also interested in the fact that it's just a very traditional building material, a very humble building material. It's been used for a really long time, like forever, and seeing ways to push that beyond how people usually perceive it. So I like to take it and finish it in ways that don't really look like wood.
And working in that medium, having those sculptures that you made out of wood, do you have any commercial pieces that you're working on at the time, or you have some pieces like that?
Yeah, I have several. So I do work in the commercial world as well. Sometimes I'll even do figural sculptures for artists or things like that. Last year I worked with Tyler the Creator on creating these 3 different pieces of him actually for his last album, and then they kind of traveled around the world with him, so that was really fun.
So any other projects you're working on next?
I have a show in Omaha coming up on the 15th, so I'm completing pieces right now for that show, and then I have a residency the day of starting in Tahoe, so I'm really thinking a lot about that, and that's all going to be, I'm going to stay in a cabin on this big piece of land, and work a lot with wood, probably some casting.
Is there a favorite piece that you've worked on since you've been an artist?
Yeah, no. I guess my direct answer is always like, the next piece that's going to happen is always going to be my favorite piece. One of the series I did really like was the Dancer series that I worked on, that I showed the first iteration with at FF-1051, and is actually the print that we're showing at the photo show. It's interesting to see the sculpture in its 2D version, and how it interacts with the light to capture that piece in that moment, and then freeze it in that moment and sort of represent it in a way, I think creates a whole nother art piece, which is super interesting, right? Like you take the sculptures and then photograph it and then print it, and then it becomes a 2D art piece that you can put on a wall.
It becomes a secondary version of itself.
Exactly, yeah, it gives it another life to live,
Absolutely. Well, Vincent, we appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us about it. Very excited to have your pieces at FF-1051.
Absolutely, thank you.